credit card. So I had to go make an extra stop. So I have done that. Well, good morning.
Morning.
How's everybody? Stars enabled. Have you figured out the stars thing
I have
yet?
no idea.
That's all new. I don't either. So
I probably should look into that. But
so if somebody knows what this means, tell us what the stars thing
you know what the stars mean.
Tell us what it's in our stars.
We're looking for an astrologist to help us. So.
That's right. In the time of the stars. Excuse me. Well, good morning, everybody. Everybody who's watching, giving everybody just about a minute to get on. Yeah. So here, it's going to be fun. Audra and I are going to tell our story. Probably not in its entirety, because that would take a while.
Long story.
But this month, the January, marks when we found each other, if you will, when we were reconnected and discovered one another 12 years ago. That's pretty cool. So that would have been, 2010, January of 2010. Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it's that long ago.
It's a little crazy, eh?
But anyway, so a number of years ago, and you can actually go if you want to. I think it's on my YouTube channel. If you just look up Brad Holloman on YouTube, I've got a channel, not a very well done channel, but you can find where we did them. I forgot how many before you went to Rhema. So how many? Three videos, I think. 3 videos, but how many?
Or something.
How many years ago though? When did you go to Rhema?
Oh Lord, that was before I went to Rhema. That would have to be 8-ish years ago.
8-ish. So about 8 years ago, we kind of told our story a little bit from there. But as always,
and just so you know, I have never watched those videos. I have no idea what I said, and I will never watch those videos.
Well, apparently
they've really helped people.
They've helped people,
but I don't know what we said.
So a lot of people have commented. It's probably, at least on my channel, again, very small channel, so to keep things in perspective. But it's been probably the most watched and most useful stuff.
Maybe I should make myself go back.
We should probably go back and watch them.
We probably should.
We probably should go back and watch them, because that was 8 years ago. But we thought here, redoing the lives, and now that it's the Holomans, and you've heard us talk about Audra, and Audra's obviously been on the show, and we've been doing stuff. We thought, well, you know what? We probably need to retell our story.
Yeah.
But kind of from today, looking backwards in review. Yeah. So, I mean, as of today, man, I would say our relationship is awesome.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
Yeah. What am I supposed to say? No.
No.
Blink twice if you're being held against your will.
Yeah, those videos. Squeeze my hand. Give the finger sign.
It's awesome.
But we do. I mean, now it's, because I think people look and they see us, and they, not just me and you, but they also see you and our family, and they see the family, and they see the dynamic, and they just think, wow, that's just astounding. And it is, but it's 12 years later.
12 years later, we're an overnight success.
12 years later, we're an overnight success and getting better every day.
Yeah.
And so, but to tell that story, because kind of the backstory is, so when I was a younger man, I think I must have been 17 or so, or 16, I got my girlfriend, your mother at the time, pregnant. And then all kinds of just all kinds of stupid, but keep the story really, really, really short. Yeah. Is I, through fear and cowardice and failure and all the stuff, I signed away my parental rights, because your mom at the time was going to marry another fella. Yeah. And what I was understood was there was to be an adoption, and there was to be some stuff that was going to happen, and I didn't want to get in the way. And to be honest, that sounds all noble. I didn't want to get, I was being a chicken. Right, that was just me. I almost swore right there. I got to be careful, because this is a live program.
This is a family program, Dad.
I was just being a chicken, and I saw an easy way out, so I took it. And that was about 2 years before I got what I said, genuinely born again.
Yeah.
Right, So again, kind of like people that hear me tell my story, I said this. When I was 6, I got fire insurance, because I didn't want to go to hell. So at about 6 years old, I think it was genuine. I mean, it was real. I think if something would have happened to me between 6 and 19, God in his great grace and mercy, I would have gone to heaven, if you will. So I know there's a lot of theology that gets all up in there. But at 19, one night, again, I'll tell you, the church is a different name now, but at the time it was called Cathedral of the Cross, Assembly of God, here in Center Point, Alabama. It was a Sunday night. If they still got it laid out like it was before, You go down the dead middle, there's the pulpit. I was the second bench on the left, far right hand end, and I knelt down and I said, okay, God, no more playing. And I went from just being a believer to a follower. And I really, for me, that is when I really was born again, like in the sense of that I was really transformed, because I remember getting up from that and my whole heart desire had changed. You've heard me say that's when my desire transplant happened. I think every true believer has a desire transplant, and God put his desires in my heart and they were mine at that moment. And with that came, oh my, kind of what have I done?
Yeah.
Because I realized, oh goodness, there's a little girl out there. But from what I understood, I had kind of painted myself into a corner. So all I was left with was really just prayer. And so very regularly, I would pray. I'd say, Lord, two things. My prayer for you was two things. Lord, that you would know you. And Lord, please, at the best time, at the right time, at what would be best for all, help us overcome the barriers that I believed I had put in place and help us meet at the right time. Does that make sense? So I say that to say, again, because I want to go ahead and hit this falsehood in the head, because there is a current thing amongst modern men of running around getting ladies pregnant. And, well, later I'll find them when they're an adult, and then it'll be awesome.
I mean,
and that is more prevalent than I want to even talk about, right?
It can be, but there's a lot of factors involved.
There's a lot of factors involved. So I say all this to say we call this our restoration story. This is truly, for me, God doing just what he said he would do in Romans chapter 8. That he would take our bad, the bad I created, right? And he would change it and transform it to good. And he would change it from bad to good. But that is, guys, that is a process on all sides, especially when it comes to this kind of relationship. Because I do hope that and as we talk about these videos and do that, is that if you're out there, if you're watching, ever how you find this, and you find yourself in one of the two positions, because, I was the abandoning father, and Audra at the time was the abandoned child, and there's so many, and that can be physically like we did, that could be through just other neglects. I mean, y'all know how disintegrated family life has become, but that as we tell our story, that it would build hope for you. And that we'll share what God led us to do, and he's going to lead you in a similar path of restoration. So that's kind of like, if we kind of tee it up. Today it's awesome, right? Today our relationship is great. Yeah, it is. You're so funny.
It is. Sorry, I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying right now.
It is, but again, and I think it will continue to grow in its awesome sauce. But it's, again, guys, that doesn't just happen. And if I can say anything, and not just in a story like ours that's one of genuine God-led restoration, that's for all of your children. Yeah. That's for every relationship, both family, friendship, church. It takes time and intentionality. Yeah. Right? You just don't have magical, automatic, relationships, right? You'll hear there's hard yards that you have to do. There's tough conversations. There's things you have to do. But anyway, that's kind of where our story has begun. Is I had abandoned Audra as a younger man. Yeah. I come to genuinely know Jesus and repent from that choice. And really, I could look back and go, that started back then, at that day when I was 19. And I know repentance isn't an overly popular word anymore. Yeah. But it is, there has to be, if you want to have restoration in whatever, you first have to start with repentance. You first have to start with, I want something different. I don't want what I've got now. I don't want this to stay the way it's been. I want something different. So I have to repent. I have to change direction. Right, and move in a different direction. So anyway, so that's kind of that. So now I'm going to pass the ball to Audra. What am I supposed to say? Well, how was it for you? So again, talking about it, because we set up the backstory. Yeah. So you growing up, what was your side of the story, kind of from a child till we kind of found each other?
I mean, I was told your name,
Yeah.
I'm going to speak very lightly. I don't like to speak about my other family because they're still alive. Most of them are
Yeah, I
still
understand.
alive.
Absolutely.
And this is just I'm putting this all in here for people who might watch that are related to me. This is my side of the story.
That's right.
So you have to say those things because people are still living.
Yeah, understood.
So,
Absolutely.
No, I was told that you were alive and that you had walked away and your name and that you didn't want to be in my life and that you rejected me or, all those things.
Wow.
That your family had rejected me. That your parents said, whatever. Yeah. And so that's what I was told.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was told, I think my mom saw you one time when I was like 8 months old or something.
Yeah.
Gave you a picture, which apparently, hilarious story, had her birthday and not mine on it. So on my mom's birthday every year, he prayed for me. So the first year we met, he texted me on my mom's birthday and said, "Happy birthday." And I said, "Oh, that's very sweet. My birthday is in July." So, but thank you so much. So I think there's a little resentment there.
Yep, yep.
And then I was told that my grandmother tried to meet with your mom and that it was made very clear to her that my mom was a liar and that you weren't the dad and, talk, so that's kind of what I was told. Yeah. And from their end, I think it was just one of those moments, well, my Nana, my dad's mom only knew what dad told her. Yep. So, she said, this is not his kid because he said this.
Because I lied.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is...
Well, and all those things, so it's to say that, and all those things you were told were true.
Yeah.
Because I had lied.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid. I was being cowardly. I was trying to cover my own butt, so to speak. Yeah. Which, again, remember, guys, listen, never works out.
And I was told that
never works out.
My grandpa Holloman, who I never had the chance to meet, called my mom's high school and threatened the principal. And
that sounds like something Dad
would
do.
And I don't think anybody knew that, but
yeah.
And the principal basically said, "Well, the way I look at it, both of them got pregnant, and she's what are you gonna do now? Why are you calling me?" And that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I knew as a child.
Yeah.
And when I didn't even find any of that out until I was 9.
Okay, yeah.
So because my mom did get married, the man is still alive. The ex is still alive. So we're being very nice. And then they had 2 other children. He was the person I called dad till I was 9, but it never made a lot of sense to me because we acted nothing alike. My mom and I never acted anything that I know. I don't know. My mom left when I was 9. So to say that my mom and I didn't act anything alike,
you don't know.
Maybe I am more like my mom. I have no idea. So I've been told no by everybody else in my life. So I would assume probably not. But I don't know enough about her to make assumptions. So what I'm saying is I always just felt very odd in our family. And it didn't make any sense to me, like looking around. And then when I was 9, I asked a very innocent 9-year-old question. Why is my last name different than everybody else's if I'm supposed to be part of this family? So... that's how long it took me to figure out. I had it last time when you're a kid, you don't pay attention to those things. Mm-mm. So then my mom sat me down and very quietly told me I couldn't tell anybody about you and that story. And then, and then it just kind of changed everything. I mean, there was a moment.
Now, how did that be when you come in 9 and then you find out something?
I'll tell you, I'm being real honest. This is a very hard, I've been trying to write about this for years and I haven't. This feels like ancient history to me, but I had a very private moment where I went into the bathroom. I remember what the bathroom looked like. I shut the door. I put my hand on the glass. I used to have bleach blonde hair. I was crying quietly, and I just remember being like, "Who are you?" Like, everything made sense, but then I was kind of just left with this question about like, what am I supposed to do with all of this information? And so that was it, and then 6 months later, they got divorced and things got really bad and my mom left. So there wasn't a lot of time past then. And it was never one of those things we never talked about it again. That was the only time.
What? You and your mom?
We never talked about it again until I was 15. My mom was not living with us. And I told my grandmother I wanted to find you. And that's when apparently my grandmother met somebody when you came home Because if I was 15, it was like 2005.
Okay, gotcha.
And 2005, 2004, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And they had a friend of my grandmother saw you and Nana and Selena and Sophia when she was a baby at Cracker Barrel. And found out you were a missionary and found out all this different stuff. So then my grandmother came home and said, your father's a missionary, which I find very funny since he has a kid he doesn't even care about. And that's what my grandmother told me. I mean, that's almost verbatim what she told me.
Yep, and I
but I didn't know all the information, so here I am like...
Well, I want to say this out there again. I am so grateful for your grandmother, because your grandmother took you on, took your other brother and sister on.
Just the sister.
Just the sister.
Yeah,
okay, gotcha. Took another sister on, again, like so many. There's so many grandparents out there they're raising their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure publicly I'm grateful for your grandmother because she did that. She did. I mean, that's to be commended. That's to be honored by any grandparent that would do that would take on their kids, you know. And I do not. And this is the part. Now, guys, listen. This is the part. So I'm going to try to interject when I can in here to kind of make it. But as we tell our story, because the power of God's grace is the ability to be able to stand in the presence of your past, but not live under the guilt and shame and condemnation of your past. And we see that in the Apostle Paul, where in this one passage, I think he was writing to the Corinthians, he said something like this. He said, I am the chief of all sinners.
Yeah.
Very next verse. And I also am the chief of all apostles.
Yeah.
And so because he understood what Jesus had done for him and had done for us, Paul was able to stand in the presence. He wasn't, now I want to kind of debate that, he wasn't declaring himself a sinner. Mm-hmm. He was just saying, that's what I was out there killing the church innocently. I was doing it, but yet at the same time, God's grace has made me this. Yeah. And that's, so when we talk about this, and I know like it, because sometimes we do this and people are like, it can be uncomfortable. And I'll tell on myself, you know, I do this, you know, because as we've been building our relationship, and especially, you know, the years we were working together in the handyman business, we'd bump into people from your childhood, your life before me, so to speak. And you would be there. And I would see it on their face. You know, you would, hey, so-and-so, hey, this is my dad. And you would watch their face go, I'm not supposed to like you. Right? And you know, and they didn't know what to do. And I would have, I would choose to say, hey, I'm the sorry SOB that ran out on her. That's who I am.
Yeah, and I would always say,
you could just say hi.
Hello. I am probably, I don't think this is an exaggeration, the most private person in our family.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I live a very public life now, which has been very conflicting. I'm just being real honest with you. So that kind of stuff, I'm like, you don't have to explain yourself. It's really not necessary. I'm not asking, nor do I care about their opinion. Yeah, no, I understand. But he wants to, because it's important for people to see. And I see what you're saying, and I always agree. But I'm the squirmy one that's like, oh my God.
Well, I say that because, listen, to help people, here's the thing. We all can tend to run around and hide from our past. Yeah. And the great thing about Jesus is we no longer have to hide from our past. I mean, you think of it, and the stories just kind of pop. You think about the lady with the alabaster box, right? She was a prostitute. Yeah. I think at the moment she offered that offering, she was no longer a prostitute. Yeah. Right? But she comes and she offers this thing publicly before Jesus, and Jesus was okay. And everybody, do you know who she is? Do you know what she did? Do you know? And Jesus is like, yeah, and? Mm-hmm. What she's doing is getting me ready for all of y'all. Right? I mean, and so and I say that because as we talk about this, and I get it, and we all can be, what do I say? How do I say that? But some of that is to help is, man, our past has been forgiven, has been removed in the sense of the consequences of it. We'll make back up, not so much all the consequences, but I mean, what I mean by consequences is the guilt, the shame, the condemnation. You know, because, you know, fast forward when we first met each other, It was one of the first conversations we had.
Yeah.
Was I said, hey, listen, I am so sorry I wasn't there. I have tons of regrets that I wasn't there for you like you deserved as a little child. Right?
Yeah.
But because of Jesus, I don't have the guilt, the shame, the condemnation, because we've been freed from that. Now, how do I begin to make things right? How do I begin, like we said, because repentance is not just I want to change direction. I want a different outcome. Repentance is, I will now do what is necessary to bring about that different outcome.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And just to bring, we can talk about that next time we got to land the plane, but just to kind of to end the story part so we can hop into the other things. At 15, when I found that out, it was so interesting for me and my mom asked me not to find him, and I said, I don't even know. I'll look back now, I'm like, maybe I should have disobeyed, maybe I should. I was not a rebellious teenager. I was a robot child. I was a very good child. So, I said, okay, I won't find him. Yeah. And so, but when I heard he was a missionary, I used to have a world map in my room. And I would look at it and I would ask God, like, as much as I could back then. I had a very weird relationship with God back then. Like, I was saved like you, but like I had a lot of fear and a lot of pain, and it really painted how I viewed God. And so, but I remember asking, looking at this map, like, where is he? Like, I want to know where he is. Yeah. That was a question I asked him for years. Like, I want to, like, what would it be like to be with him? Like, it has to be so cool. Like, that's I don't know if I ever told you that.
I don't know if you ever told me that. No, that's very cool, though.
I had a map in my room, and I looked at it, and that's literally what I remember that. I remember that. That was another moment for me. Yeah. And I thought about it all the time. I wonder where he is in the world. Like, and there was a lot of times when I had questions about myself that I wondered that. Yeah. So, and he never told me, by the way. So, but it's okay.
I never told you.
No, he never told me. Where you were in the world?
Well, that time we would have been between Mexico and Canada. So, it would have been in the journey between the two countries.
So, there is a very strong possibility in some of those times it could have been when you were here in Alabama, and I found out where my grandmother lived, and the first time I knew where she lived, we drove past there all the time. I remember crying in her driveway. She lived here this whole time, right here. Yeah, like I remember that. So I don't know. That's just something to but like the grace part of that is true. Now, it took me a minute just to land the plane on your original thought. I just wanted to kind of leave us.
Yeah, no, that's good.
We didn't finish that part of the story.
Well, again, we appreciate you guys watching because we've done this once 8 years ago. We haven't done this since.
We're new people since then. We're not babies anymore in this relationship. So, but going back to what you said, I didn't understand what you were saying at first. Yeah, because you have to remember that my only other context was my mom, who has passed away. And I'm trying to be so nice, and not because I have to be or anything, but because I want to be honoring. That's right. And I don't want to hurt people's feelings. No. I can only share my story. But I remember one of the biggest hurdles with my mom was, well, this happened to you, but you should just love me. I'm your mom, and whatever. And that was kind of her, like, there was never, like, I didn't own it, so when the first time I heard you on the phone, this was our very first conversation, I had a decision to make, because I'm like, this is sus. This is starting to sound like, this is your problem, not mine. You'll be lucky to have me around, kind of thing. And I had to go, no, I don't know what he means by that. Let's just give him a shot. Yeah. And literally that was, but I had to, like, which at the time, I'm very proud of myself for that. Me too. Because I look back where I was in that season, and I could have just said, you know what? Nice to meet you. Send me a Christmas card sometime. Here's my address. Yeah. And hung up the phone. Yeah. But I had to push through and go, I don't understand what he means, so let's just give him some time. Well, see if I understand. Because it just sounded to me like I'm not going to take responsibility for anything. No, I
can see that. So, well, and I think it's interesting, Audra, as we help people because sometimes, again, we all say stuff based on where we've come from. Yeah. So mine, and not for this video, but mine was a journey of learning to be free from my past. Yeah. So many times you speak, and it can be people don't know where you're coming from. People don't know where, because that wasn't just a flippant.
No, it was
that
very
wasn't just
intentional.
a very intentional. And the reason why was just I wanted you to know that I wanted our relationship to be free from guilt on all sides.
Yeah.
Right. Now, but here's the thing. There's a difference between guilt and regret. Mm-hmm. There are things I still regret that you deserved. Mm. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's just that's just the way life is.
Yeah.
And like we said, like I can't go backwards.
Yeah.
I can't go back and fix the things I regret because they're behind us.
Mm. Yeah.
But I can stand for it and go, I won't do that again. Mm. Right? Yeah. And I will build a new life today based on what we want, what we see, what you deserve, what all and so I say that is that because and I hope you feel this. There's a good weird that goes on. It's a good weird. It's a good weird.
Yeah. I'm really hanging in there, guys.
You're doing great. You're doing great. So you're doing great. But the reason why I say that is because I think sometimes, again, and here's the great with grace. Grace doesn't mean mess free.
Yeah. No, there's going to be, you're going to step in some stuff. You're going to, people have passed. They have, you have to admit, and that's what, and I've told everybody from the beginning, why did you stick around with him so long? Because he admitted to what he did, and he's done everything he said he would do since. Yeah. That's what I tell people. And I said, I don't tell people, I don't feel like I owe people a lot of explanations about this. I've been very clear about that. Yeah. And probably to a mean way, and that might be something we have to talk about. I swung really hard to your side, and I think I threw a lot of people off the boat. Yeah. But I just really wanted it. And that's grace. I mean, but sometimes you have to just you see these moments where you have to make a really defining decision.
That's good. No, that's very good.
And I did.
Yeah.
And I probably lost some people, and I lost some respect, and I lost my position as somebody that everybody loved. My other family, sometimes it felt that way. And I didn't mean to, but this was something that I knew in my heart. Like, I have to run after this.
Yes.
Because this is what I've always wanted. And I'm just going to go for it, and we'll figure everything out. That's literally, I mean, and for me, like I said, it doesn't necessarily go against my personality, but it was it was a decision I made almost like this.
Gotcha.
But I knew it was the right one.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I love that because I think when we talk about, because everyone, how do you say I'm trying to think of how to word this that can be helpful. So everybody wants forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Right. I think everybody hey, please forgive me. I did something wrong. Few people want reconciliation. Mm-hmm. Some people just want you to say, well, I'm not mad at you anymore. See you later.
You do your life, I'll do
mine. And then reconciliation is okay, well, send me the Christmas card. We'll, every now and then we'll bump in, do dinner, do something. But restoration, which means returning something to its original intent. And y'all hear us all the time on this show talk about our heart is God's original intent, God's original design. And there's this process that from forgiveness to restoration. And restoration takes this. Yeah. It takes this.
Because you're not just being restored. And we're going to have to stop that.
I got to go to work.
He has to go to work, and we'll pick up tomorrow. But maybe this will set us up for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's not just, yes, it's been beautiful for us to be restored, but there was a lot of people, other people, little people, a wife, other family, a whole church, that you're having to be restored to.
As well.
That you're having to bring into your life and say, here's what I did, here's this person.
Yeah, that's so good.
And maybe we just start there tomorrow.
That'd be awesome.
But
well, I say that because so if you desire restoration in something in your life, you have to know it's like what Audra said. There has to be an intentional. I will give the benefit of the doubt. I will ask clarifying questions. Yeah. I will stick with it in the hard yards. I will stay when it's easier to say, see ya. Right? Yeah. I will,
put it this way. I was the flighty one in this relationship. Because I would have ran away a lot.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah.
I was the flighty one. He stayed all the time. I was the one that was like, shh, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not like I never physically left, but like I'm just saying, emotionally, my heart flew away a lot.
Yeah.
And so he stayed really true. And we could talk about that some more, but that was still the choice we made.
Well, let's talk about it tomorrow because there's two sides. So remember, so y'all help us remember.
Yeah.
I hate that we have to go, but we are trying to stick it good.
We're sticking it.
And so, but we love you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Love you.
Yeah,
You're a good kid.
Aw,
You're
thanks.
a good kid. And so thank you for allowing this to happen. Not just the video, but allowing us to happen.
Yeah.
And allowing our family. And I just want to say, thanks for sticking and allowing our family to be better because you're with us.
Oh, thank you.
Right. And I mean that with all my heart. And so does all of our family. Right. And so, so we will pick up part two tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you
go
then.
to thehollimans.com.
Hollimans.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Give button. Stuff.
Like, subscribe,
all
give,
the stuff.
buy the stuff, all the things. We love you.
See you later.